What if the most important thing shaping how long you live was something you've never trained, tracked, or optimized? For years, you were told that lifestyle does most of the work, that diet, exercise, and habits explain almost everything about longevity. But a new scientific review just challenged that belief in a big way. According to this research, your DNA may influence up to 55% of your life expectancy. That's not a small correction. That's a paradigm shift. And before that idea feels discouraging, here's the twist most headlines miss. Understanding your genes doesn't reduce your control. It actually sharpens it. Because once you know what biology sets, you can finally focus on what truly moves the needle for health span, strength, mobility, and independence as you age. For decades, you were told a comforting story about longevity. The idea was simple. About 75% of your lifespan came down to lifestyle, while genetics played a minor role. Eat well, move your body, don't smoke, manage stress, and you could age well. That belief fueled public health, evidence-based health advice, and the idea that healthy aging was mostly in your hands. And honestly, that narrative gave people hope, motivation, and a sense of control. This model shaped everything from fitness advice to functional fitness programs, strength after 50, mobility work, balance training, all framed as powerful tools to extend health span. And they are powerful, no doubt about it. Daily movement, smart nutrition, and consistent habits absolutely improve quality of life and independence. But science has a habit of evolving and sometimes correcting itself. What most people didn't realize is that early longevity studies had blind spots. They were conducted in eras where infectious diseases, accidents, and violence were far more common. Those external threats created noise, masking what was happening biologically inside the body. In other words, people weren't always dying because they were aging poorly. They were dying because the world itself was far more dangerous. So the conclusion seemed logical at the time. Lifestyle was the main driver of longevity. Genes mattered, sure, but only around 20 to 25% according to the old model. That idea stuck, repeated so often, it became accepted truth. But here's the quiet question science kept circling back to. What if genes were underestimated all along? And that question is exactly where the story takes a sharp turn next. Here's where the conversation around longevity gets interesting. In early 2026, researchers from the Weizmann Institute of Science took a fresh look at a question most scientists thought was already settled. Not by running another short-term study, but by rethinking how lifespan itself should be measured. Their focus wasn't habits or trends, but the biology of aging beneath the surface, and what they found quietly rewrote the rulebook. The key insight was surprisingly simple. Past studies mixed too many causes of death together. Infectious diseases, accidents, wars, and random events were lumped in with biological aging. That's like judging a car's engine performance while ignoring potholes, traffic, and bad weather. So the researchers filtered out what they called extrinsic mortality, deaths caused by external forces. What remained was intrinsic mortality, the pure biology of aging. Using advanced mathematical modeling and data from twins and siblings, patterns started to emerge. Once external noise was removed, genetics didn't fade into the background. They stepped forward. The influence of genes on life expectancy didn't hover around 25%. It climbed, sharply, up to 55%, driven by internal aging mechanisms. This didn't mean lifestyle stopped mattering. It meant the signal became clearer. When survival improves and external risks drop, biology has more room to express itself. In modern societies, where medicine, hygiene, and safety have improved, genes speak louder. And that's when the real question shifts from if genes matter to how much they've been shaping longevity all along. This is where many people misunderstand the 55% rule and panic for no reason. Hearing that genes may influence more than half of your life expectancy can sound discouraging. It can feel like your future is already locked in, written somewhere deep in your DNA. But that's not what this science is saying. In fact, the message is far more empowering than it first appears. The rule doesn't erase lifestyle, it reframes it. When external threats fade, genetics naturally become more visible. That doesn't mean habits stop working. It means they operate within a biological range. Think of your genes as setting the upper and lower limits. Your daily choices decide where you land inside that range. This is where the idea of protective genes enters the picture. Some people seem oddly resistant to age-related disease. You've probably seen it, a centenarian who smoked, skipped workouts, and somehow kept going. That's not luck. It's biology offering a hidden buffer. Those protective mechanisms allow certain bodies to age more slowly from the inside out. But here's the part that rarely gets discussed. Protective genes don't guarantee quality of life. They don't automatically preserve mobility, balance, or functional fitness. Longevity without independence isn't the win most people imagine. And that subtle distinction sets the stage for what comes next. Once genetics stepped into the spotlight, the direction of longevity research shifted almost overnight. If genes play such a dominant role in intrinsic aging, then identifying which genes matter becomes critical. This is why scientists are now aggressively searching for what are often called longevity genes. Not mythical switches for immortality, but biological patterns that slow aging from the inside. And this shift is already reshaping how evidence-based health is studied. Protective genes aren't magic. They influence inflammation, cellular repair, metabolism, and resilience. Think of them as internal maintenance systems that run more efficiently. Researchers are now asking, can we mimic those systems? Not through shortcuts or hype-driven biohacking, but through targeted, carefully tested interventions. That's where precision medicine enters the conversation. In the future, longevity may no longer rely on generic advice alone. Instead of everyone should do this, the question becomes, what does your biology respond to? Gene-guided nutrition, personalized exercise prescriptions, and tailored recovery strategies are emerging. Even functional fitness could evolve, designed around how your body adapts, not how someone else's does. This isn't sci-fi. It's already taking shape in research labs. But here's the quiet truth most headlines skip. None of these discoveries matter if they don't improve real life. Living longer without mobility, balance, or independence misses the point entirely. Longevity science is only meaningful when it protects quality of life. And that brings us back to a decision every person still controls. This is where the conversation often goes wrong. Some people hear 55% genetic and immediately fall into fatalism. They assume aging well is out of their hands, so why bother trying? But that reaction misses the most important part of the equation. Because 45% of longevity is still profoundly influenced by how you live. Think of genetics as a map and lifestyle as the vehicle. Your genes outline the terrain, the curves, and the limits, but your daily habits decide how smoothly you travel that road. Nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress management determine whether the ride is steady or chaotic. This is where Healthspan is either protected or quietly eroded. This balance becomes even more critical after 50. Strength after 50 doesn't just preserve muscle, it protects independence. Mobility and balance aren't about athletic performance, they're about staying functional. A body that moves well resists decline better, regardless of genetic advantage. And functional fitness is often the difference between aging and aging well. Here's the insight most people overlook. Lifestyle doesn't fight genetics, it amplifies it. Good habits push you toward the upper edge of your genetic potential. Poor habits drag you toward the lower limit. And understanding that interaction is what turns information into power. Here's the part most people need to hear, slowly. Even without protective genes, lifestyle optimization remains the most reliable strategy for healthy aging. Longevity isn't about chasing extremes, it's about stacking small advantages over time. And the basics still work, especially when applied with intention and consistency. This is where evidence-based health quietly outperforms hype. Nutrition is a good place to start, but not with perfection. Precision nutrition doesn't mean complicated diets. It means paying attention to how your body responds. Adequate protein to preserve strength after 50, whole foods to support mobility, recovery, and metabolic health, and enough flexibility to stay consistent without burnout, because sustainability always wins. Movement is the second pillar, and it's not optional. Exercise after 50 should protect joints, improve balance, and reinforce functional fitness. That might look like resistance training twice a week, daily walking, and short mobility routines. Not flashy, not extreme, just effective. And when done right, movement becomes a form of long-term insurance for independence. Sleep and stress quietly shape everything else. Poor recovery accelerates aging faster than most people realize. Managing stress isn't about eliminating it, it's about buffering its impact on the nervous system and DNA. This is where light, educational biohacking can help. Not shortcuts, but smarter habits. And for those who want a deeper roadmap, this is exactly the gap the longevity protocol was designed to fill. So here's the real takeaway. Longevity isn't a battle between genetics and lifestyle. It's a partnership. Your genes set the framework, but your daily choices decide how well that framework holds up over time. Understanding this shifts you from guessing to acting with clarity. And clarity is what leads to better decisions, better habits, and a better quality of life. Now ask yourself this: are your current habits helping you reach the upper limit of your potential, or quietly pulling you toward the lower end? Aging well doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you train strength after 50, protect mobility and balance, and build functional fitness that supports independence, not just appearance. Your goal isn't youth, it's independence. If this changed how you think about aging, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications. We go deep into evidence-based health, healthy aging, and practical longevity every single week. And before you go, don't miss the video on your screen right now. Your gut is quietly aging you. The gut factory science no one explained. Because understanding your genes matters. But if your gut isn't working with you, none of this reaches its full potential.